These are the Switchback Sequential LED Turn Signal Projector headlights, and they are going to be available for all 2019 and newer Ram 2500s equipped with factory halogen headlights. Now, these options would be a great choice for you halogen HD owners out there looking for a massive upgrade in both functionality along with your appearance. Now, these options will convert your stock halogen headlights to a full LED option loaded with all kinds of extras, including the modern daytime running lights and sequential turn signals, along with that very dark and aggressive look. All right, guys, what do you say we run through some of the features here first, as there is a lot to cover. Now, the first thing that you will notice is that these options are going to replace your dated factory reflector style housing with a much more modern and much brighter LED projector. Not only does this just look a heck of a lot cooler, but it's also going to greatly improve your nighttime visibility thanks to that brighter, more focused beam of light. Now, your next feature to talk about will be the diffused white daytime running lights found in both the upper and the lower blocks here on these particular headlights. Now, these running lights will illuminate whenever your parking lights or your headlights have been switched on and contribute to, I would say, higher quality look for one, but a more modified look overall. Now, those LED diffused running lights will also actually serve as your turn signals as well, thanks to the inclusion of the Switchback Sequential turn signals that basically allows these white bars to turn from amber back to white again in that sequential pattern. And that is very cool and definitely adds to the final draw of these particular lights. Now, moving into construction, and another big feature that we cannot forget to mention will be the transformation from the boring chrome factory housings to a much more sinister appearance thanks to the combination of the jet black housing topped off with that smoked polycarbonate lens. Now, this really is responsible for transforming the front end of your HD once installed, and again will be a great option for you truck owners out there looking to black out all of the lighting on your rig. Now, as I mentioned earlier, guys, all of that LED lighting is loaded into the pair of headlights here, into that nice ABS plastic housing, topped off with the lenses, of course, sealed up nice and tight to prevent any excess moisture or condensation from building up over time. Now, the lights do also include a pretty comprehensive harness here needed to convert your halogen truck to a full LED option. Finally, the lights have been given both that DOT and SAE approval, which makes them legal for use in all 50 states, and they are also backed by a 1-year warranty in case you run into any issues. Price point for the LED sequential options here will end up around that mid $800 ballpark, give or take a bit, which for a full LED upgrade is honestly going to be one of your more affordable options currently on the site for your HD at home. Now, I say that because options from companies like Alpharex or Morimoto more times than not end up above that $1,000 mark for their pair. So to find something well south of that to deliver a lot of the similar features in regards to a full LED operation certainly makes these a pretty attractive choice. All right, last but not least, now we want to shift gears and show you what it takes to get these lights installed on your HD at home. Site's going to call this a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you a couple of hours to complete from start to finish. But now to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need an impact, a 1/4 inch ratchet, a long extension, deep and shallow 10mm sockets, a 10mm swivel socket, clip removal tool, body panel tool, needle nose pliers, a flathead screwdriver. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing some headlights on our Ram, so let's get started. Alrighty, guys, so first we have to take our factory headlights out, and to do that we need to obviously open the hood, and we're going to remove this upper shroud first. Now, you have a bunch of push clips around the front. You also have 2 on the back of it as well, so we're going to grab our clip removal tool and start removing these. Now, if you don't have a clip tool, you can always use a flathead screwdriver as well. That'll work just fine. Now we're going to get the 2 on the back side. They're going to be located right around here. not so tall like myself, you may need to get up on a stool to get to these. Once we have all of our clips off, we can take this off and set it aside. Next, we're going to remove the upper trim on our grill. Now, this is held in with what should be a push clip and this position on each side, right over the headlights, as well as a bunch of 10mm bolts. So we're going to grab our 10mm socket and take those out. And you should also remove your push clips again with your clip removal tool. Ours are not present. There's also one down here. And once you have all of your hardware and clips removed, you can slide this right off. Now we can remove the upper grill mounting bolts. So you'll have 4 in here, and then those 2 longer ones that you removed earlier also hold the grill on. So once again, we'll grab our 10mm socket. Next, we can begin to remove our lower trim piece. Now we're going to start with these outer panels. And you're going to need a plastic trim removal tool. We're going to get that wedged in right here. And pop that out very carefully. And you can do the same thing for the other side. Next, we have a 10mm bolt behind that outer panel that we just removed on each side. We'll grab our 10mm socket and pop that off. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. Next, we're going to come in between our grill and our bumper, and along the bottom here, you're going to have some set nuts for mounting the lower point of your grill. They're on T-nut studs, so you're going to need a shallow and a deep 10mm socket. Some are sticking further down, some are farther up. Once we actually get this panel off, you'll be able to see it a lot better, but you're going to have some to the outside, then in between, and then you're going to have one directly in the middle, and the same for the other side. Once you're looking under it, you can see them, but it's very hard to see from the outside. So we'll start removing these. So we'll get in here and start loosening these up. You don't have to fully remove these nuts, you just need to loosen them. And again, as I mentioned, for some of these, you're going to need a deep 10mm. This is really all going to be done by feel. Once you have all of those loose, we can pull off our center trim. Now that we have our center trim off, that's going to expose our 2 lower grill mounting bolts as well as one of our headlight bolts. So we're going to remove all 3 of these at the same time with our 10mm socket. And once you have these off, you can do the same thing for the other side. Now we have 2 more bolts holding our lower grill in place. We have one down here and the same for the other side. So we'll pop those off now, again with our 10mm socket. We'll do the same thing over there. So now we can remove our grill. Now the top outer mounts are dowels that double as headlight mounts, so you need to pull up a little bit on those to get them to release. We can pull our grill off and set it aside. Alrighty guys, so our next step is going to be to remove the bottom mounting bolt and push clip for our headlight. Now, this is pretty much impossible to see unless you're looking right at it, but if you come in between your bumper and your fender, right about where your headlight ends, there's going to be a push clip that you're going to need a flathead screwdriver to get out. There also is a 10mm bolt in there that will show you how to get out. You can come from the bottom with a long extension and a 10mm swivel socket to get to that. But for now, we'll get this clip out. Pretty difficult, and you don't want to scratch up your chrome or your paint when doing this, so just take your time. Again, it's going to be right about in here for the clip. Honestly, it can be a little frustrating to get to it. But we've got the center portion down. Once you have the center piece down and kind of released, you can grab a pair of needle nose pliers and get there and pull that out, so we'll do that now. Now we're going to very carefully get in here Pull this clip out. We got our center section out. Now we're gonna work on getting the outer part. Might even be a good idea when doing this at home to grab a rag to protect your chrome. Gently pull this out. All right, so now we're underneath the truck. Again, this is almost impossible to see, but we got our 10 mil swivel and extension. We'll get this off. Now we can come back up top and we're gonna remove the final bolt for our headlight mount. Now you should also have a push clip back here that you'll need to remove. Ours is no longer with us, so we'll go ahead and remove this bolt with our 10 mil socket. You wanna support your headlight while you do this. And your headlight should come right out. Now we've got our headlight out of its seating area and we're gonna unplug it. So we need to release our safety latch and then push down on our release latch. Unplug our headlight, and we can set this aside. Now once you've got this side out, you can repeat the same process for the other side. Alrighty guys, so now before we can install our new headlights, we need to install our adapter harness, and that's gonna involve going into our fuse block. So we're over here, and we're gonna release our lid. It has these two tabs. You wanna open this up. Now we are looking for accessory fuse number 95, and that's gonna be this front row of smaller fuses right behind these relays. We've got our factory fuse puller, which is handy to have. If you don't have one of these, you can grab some needle nose pliers again for that. So we're gonna come and grab our fuse number 95, which is this 10 amp. Sometimes these are a little hard to get out. Once we have that out, set that aside. We're going to set our fuse pullers back in to their slot. That's always good to keep. And in its place, we're going to install the provided fuse tap that is already hooked up to our harness. Pop that in, route that out of our fuse block. Now when doing this at home, you can notch the lid of your fuse block out to get a more flush fit. For demonstration purposes, we're not gonna notch our lid. And after you have that hooked up, you're gonna have two legs of single pin connectors. The shorter one is gonna go into the driver's side headlight area. The longer one is going to go over to the passenger side, so we'll route that. Now you can kind of make this your own when routing the adapter plug over to the passenger side. The main thing you want to make sure of is that your wiring is out of the way of any hot or moving parts so you don't damage the harness or anything on the vehicle in the process. So we'll run this over to our passenger side. So now we've got our headlight up in place and we're going to plug it in and set it into its mounting area. We're going to start with that single pin connector. Plug that in, tuck that back out of the way, and we'll take our factory vehicle side connector, plug that in. Make sure you lock that red safety tab back in place. You want to make sure you're not going to pinch any of your wires. We'll get this lined up. Next, we can reinstall that 10mm bolt up top. Just gonna get this hand tight for now. Just want to be able to move this around if we need to. You should also reinstall that push pin up top as well. Next, we can reinstall our push pin and 10mm bolt underneath. Now to get this back in place, it's gonna be kind of tricky. We're gonna use the needle nose pliers. You wanna grab the insert of the center retainer. We're gonna fish this back into place. Work this into position. Pop that in. And you can push your centerpiece back in as well. Okay, now we're going to reinstall that bottom 10mm bolt, again with our long extension and 10mm swivel socket. This part can be a little tricky. We've got the bolt resting in our socket. Next, we can set our grill back in place. So we'll get this lined up. You want to make sure not to pinch your wiring, depending on where you have it routed. Make sure these top mounting points go back over the dowels. Now we can reinstall our 2 grill bolts here as well as our lower one. Now this new headlight assembly does already come with a new bolt in this for the lower bracket, so we don't need to reuse that. We're using our 10mm socket and our factory hardware to get this back in place. And we'll grab that lower bolt as well. Now we'll get this lower one back in place. And we can do the same thing for the other side. Now we're going to reinstall our lower center trim piece. Now this is a good opportunity to see the set nuts that I was talking about earlier. So we'll line this back up. Again, they're not fully removed, they're just loose. That is going to help us line this back up. Give that a push back into position. Then we can reinstall our hardware on the outer edges and tighten these back down as well. Now we'll get our outer 10mm bolts back in place. And with our 10mm socket. We can do the same thing on the other side. Now we'll get back in between our grill and our bumper. And again, you're going to need a deep and shallow 10mm socket on a 1/4 inch ratchet to get to all these. It's pretty much all done by feel, so just take your time with it. And again, for certain ones, you're going to have to switch to the shallow. Now we can reinstall our outer trim pieces. So we'll line those up with all of our locators. You just want to give that a push back into place. And you can do the same thing for the other side. Next, we're going to reinstall our upper grill mounting bolts as well as our outer headlight mounting bolts, or inner rather. So the 2 longest ones are going to go where your headlight and your grill meet. We'll tighten those down with our 10mm socket. We'll get the other one in. And the 4 shorter ones will go on your grill mount. And we'll tighten up our outer headlight mounts as well. Now we'll reinstall our upper trim. You want to make sure this goes under your fender and over your headlights. And they do have locators on the outside edges. Make sure those seat, and we'll reinstall all of our hardware for that. Now we're going to grab all of our 10mm bolts and our 10mm socket and reinstall all this hardware. Next, we'll reinstall our upper shroud. We'll get this lined back up. You want to remember these outer ears go under the fender as well. Get that set in place. Then we can reinstall all of our push clips holding this in. Now we'll reinstall our push clips. They'll just pop back in. And we can also get those 2 in the back as well. Much easier to get in from this height than they are to get out, especially for a guy of my height. That'll do it. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our switchback sequential LED turn signal projector headlights with jet black housings and smoke lenses for your 19 to current Ram 2500 with factory halogen headlights. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.